Good morning. It's Thursday, September 2nd, and the attack on Roe versus Wade has started. Texas wrote an abortion law which prohibits abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. And the Supreme Court and the federal courts did nothing. They did not take the case up. Therefore, by their silence and their inaction, this law is now on the books. You know what's crazy about it? I bet you there are people in this world who become pregnant and don't realize that they're pregnant until after 6 weeks, until the menstrual cycle has stopped. Because females have erratic menstrual cycles in some cases. So it's quite possible that a young lady or a young woman or an older lady or an older woman is pregnant and doesn't realize it for 5 or 6 weeks. And then it's too late to get an abortion in Texas. And who is to say? Because the big argument is, when does life start? And many who are against abortion say life starts at the moment of conception. And there are others that say that the fetus is not viable until the 21st or 22nd week. So the judgments on whether or not women have choice anymore is way up in the air, and there is no real concrete evidence one way or the other, because it's a belief system. We are fighting against a belief system. It's those who believe that life starts at conception and are vehemently opposed of choice who believe that way. It's a religious thing. It's not necessarily legal or smart or anything. It's a religion and a belief that exists. And then many believe that if you become pregnant, you have a responsibility to take care of that child that you have produced. I can't argue with that either. But there are many cases where that child will not get the proper life that they're entitled to. That is a problem. That's a big problem, and that is why many people choose to have an abortion, because they realize that they're either not fit to be a parent or that their future at that particular moment doesn't bode well for the birth of a child, and so they choose something that's probably very unpleasant for them to choose, but they do it anyhow, and they'll have an abortion. Then it became a crime when a woman became at the point of something called quickening. Quickening was a term that was used to indicate that the fetus was moving around in the womb. And that's when they decided that abortions were illegal. So the first rulings on this were different than what Texas is trying to do. First rulings on this was when there was an actual feeling of life during the pregnancy. At that point in time, not even the Catholic Church objected to abortions. But abortions came under fire when the American Medical Association decided that they wanted to do away with the competition. The competition in this case were midwives and abortion drugs. So the Medical Association launched a campaign in the mid to late 1800s against abortions. And that's how they became illegal in this country. So the issue wasn't moral or religious or political. It was a business decision. It was money. There was money to be made. And it doesn't surprise me that something like that would happen, because, as strange as it may seem, but not so strange to me, is that abortion was related to business. And the doctors felt that those who cared for people in pregnancy and those who delivered children and those who supplied drugs related to pregnancies were competition. And so they wanted to eliminate the competition. And so they got these laws passed. Now that sounds crazy, I know, but that's what actually happened. There was an exception. If the life of the mother was in danger, then you could have an abortion. Another interesting fact was that these people were concerned with the falling birth rate of white women, and they were attributing that to the fact that they, the white women, were getting most of the abortions. Now that could have just been a crazy notion based upon the population makeup of the times. Fact that the whites were probably more affluent than the people of color in the country at that time. But don't forget, we were just coming about a decade or two after the Civil War, and I'm sure that the people of color, the blacks, really hadn't established themselves, earned a decent living, and nothing really changed. It wasn't until the 1960s when the women's movement really took hold, the women's liberation movement, and reproductive rights became one of the focal points of the movement. And then, of course, in 1973, we had Roe versus Wade. And now what we have is a Supreme Court that seems to be ready to overturn Roe versus Wade. And what is that going to do in this country? Are we going to have a resurgence of the women's rights movement? I think that would be a good thing. I think it would be okay for us to return to the 1960s and battle that particular cause. Maybe that will wake this country up from the morass that we're lying in right now. Well, that's it. The Supreme Court has started its attack on Roe versus Wade, and we'll see where that goes. And hopefully it won't go as far as I think it's liable to, but one never knows, especially when we have so many states ready to rewrite their abortion laws. Okay, that's it for today, and I'll see you tomorrow in the morning. Bye.